Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So a bit of a different video today. I am here today to break down a book. I've done this before in another video. I think it's called How to Use Up a Big Book. If I remember to link it below, I will. So I was doing a bit of hunting around yesterday in my library upstairs, and I had some books to put away, and I wanted to put them on a certain shelf that was full, and I was like, I need to go through these books. So I used to buy books for lots of different reasons. There was a time when I was really into different kinds of like home decoration kind of books and stuff. This one, I don't know why I have it. I don't know where it came from, but I have it. So this is just going to be like a how to break down a big book kind of use it up type video. So I'm not going to do anything at all with the cover. You obviously could, you could cut these out if these were the kind of images you want to use. These are really shiny to me, and the book itself, it's been handled and it's worn, and I just don't really feel the need to keep them. You could also use the inside for backing things, obviously. So I'm going to be a little more like brutal with this book than what I normally am with things. The other thing you could do is you could use this cover in the same way that we use mailing envelopes. You can fold it and it will give you like a significantly nice thick piece of paper to use as a journal cover. If you wanted to, you could cover it in fabric and then you could stitch it and it would give you a nice sized cover for a book. Yeah. Anyways, those are the options. I'm not going to do that today. The cover for this book also is quite nice. It's a nice big red book. I don't think I'm going to keep it though. I have many large books already. So the first thing I do is tear out the spine. This is a newer book, so I don't need to be all careful about it. And also I'm not using the spine for anything. And then the next thing I typically do is I just check. This one's going to lift completely off. I just kind of check if there's anything useful here for collaging that I would like to have as like a grimy collage. So in this case, I'm going to keep this because it's a really cool scrap. I like some of the red that came off, and this is a nice kind of glue strip. I keep these kind of old spine things because they're really nice in collage. You'd be surprised at what you can do with them. And then here's the other side, and I'll keep that one too. So yeah, we're going to say goodbye to this book, I think. Why am I struggling with this? It's just got a nice texture. Yeah, it's going. It's gotta go. We can't keep everything. Okay. So then I always pull these pages off because I use them in journals. They're really great because they're usually quite unique. In this case, this is just plain, a tangerine orange, but like they're a nice thing to add into a journal. So then typically I'll check at this stage if this is glued in signatures, if it's sewn in. This one looks like it's definitely glued, but I do see signatures here. So then I'll try to kind of separate them if I can. It can be a little tricky at first, but you kind of get the idea. You see how it is a signature there? So then we just kind of go down, and this one looks like it does have some sewing, but it's also quite glued in. Now this is only really that important if you're looking to preserve the signatures to put into a journal. And then you go in to the middle, and then there you go. You have a nice signature. So this is a really big book though. I'm not planning to use these in journals as pages. I'm just really going through it for inspiration. So there you go. I'm going through it for things that I want to keep to make something out of. So this is a perfect kind of image that I'd be looking for. So that is the first page that I will keep. The other thing I'll do is just kind of a quick look at the titles of things, if I would want to keep any of those titles, or if there's any little verses or things like that. This page I think I'm good. The changing countryside, that could be a nice little word snippet maybe. I'll keep that one just because. Obviously that little snippet of flowers off to the side here you could keep and do something botanical with, but like I said, I'm being a little bit brutalist with my decision making today on this book because It's just a book I need to use it up. It needs to go. Contemporary crafts, the colors of Ireland, traditional materials. Okay, so now we have this nice page over here, and this one. So I think I do like this image of a fence post here, so I will keep that. And then I just usually like tear them out. But I think what I'll do really to just kind of move along a little quicker, I'm just showing you this because like it shows you how you fully break down a book, right? But I'll go a little bit quicker today and just select the pages first. So I'll keep this page. Of all of this, I think I will keep this page. Probably won't use everything here. I'll probably just keep this one. And then there's some flowers. I don't need them now. Pottery. This page I'll keep for backing because it's matte. And I always need things to back with. It's kind of pretty, but nah, I'll keep that one. That one's got like fancy pottery and stuff on it I can use for something. So then I just go page by page and make some decisions about what I want to do. That's useful. I could see that in a Green Witch type journal, or even some kind of like a cozy home kind of journal. That would be nice in a garden journal, but it's not really my thing. So then the other thing that I do is I look for textures and ways that I would use those textures. So the first thing, sorry, I just smacked my light there. The first thing that I kind of notice is this crackle texture that I really find quite cool. So I'm just going to use my tab punch and go through and just snag a few of these tabs, because I really think they're very cool. That's a very cool background. I think they'd make really cool tabs. Can we get one more beside his bum? Let's see. No, not quite. Okay, so that's it for that page. So then I'll take these tabs, and I have like a little snippet bin, but I'll just set them here for now. That itself is a nice little scrap, so I'll probably just throw that in my scraps. I don't need any of these pottery images. You know, this is the kind of thing, if you wanted to though, like you could make, if you had a journal theme that fit this, you could make an envelope with that very easily. And this spongeware image, you know, one thing you can also do is you can just cut out snippets like this as you're going. Because now, you know, you've got this floral. Oops. Big image of yarn. If you were doing a fiber art or textile type journal. That's quite relaxing and pretty. But yeah, I'm going to keep that. That's very cool. Sprinkled shamrock tablecloth. Wait a second. What is she doing here? Trying to see if she was eco printing with clovers, but I don't think so. I think it's all embroidery. Yeah, it's all embroidery, which is also a cute idea. Embroidering clovers on your tablecloth. Very sweet. Okay. So then we have some weaving going on. So some nice texture. I love this. Definitely going to keep this. This, I'll keep that too. That's a great texture. Some fiber there. don't need those. Although that would be a really cool background maybe, but a wool background. I think because I'm also a fiber artist and I have about 1 million books on all things fiber related and textile related. I don't keep these things as preciously as someone else may do. Like, I know a lot of people really enjoy like those, you know, kind of vintage knitting books, the children's ones. And for me, my experience is completely different because I have just come across so much of that kind of thing. Because when you're in like the yarn industry in any way, those things find you, like people donate them to you, or, you know, so you just kind of, you reach a point where you're like, I don't need them anymore. All right, so we are going right on through this book. It's good. Don't need that necessarily. Oh, what a beautiful chair. Okay. You know, images like this, obviously you can like keep and add a little person to or whatever and make something cool. Obviously you can use books like this as glue books or what have you. I see a lot of people are doing that these days, making like glue books. I just don't need to. Now what I will do is I will keep this little wood texture that I quite like because I feel like those are really great in collage. So I'll just cut those out. Cut them out with more detail afterward. This I will keep. That's a great texture. Some basket weaving. I don't tend to keep images like this because when photography gets blown up so large in books, it's not that high quality, and I just find like I don't like how it looks when I use it. That's a great texture. We'll keep that. I like the colors of this. I'm trying to think what I would do with it, you know. I have an idea for that because it's a cabinet. I feel like I could back it, like, and then I will cut these off and hinge them back on and maybe put some little, you know, be it a fairy or a person or something else inside here in these glasses, maybe some flowers, and then I'll make like a tall, it'll end up being like a tall tag, but it will have shutters that come in and I'll make them from these doors. And I'll keep these. I just like them. I think they're kind of cool. Okay. And this one, great textures here. We'll keep that. That could be a good texture as well, but I don't think I need it. Obviously these kind of patterns are always good for things. That would be a very simple journal card. All right, so I have not been too precious with this book. It's good. Okay, so that's what we ended up with. So if you are in need to break down and to clean, there you go. We just did a whole bunch of that. I do have another book that I was thinking of doing the same thing with, and it's this one, Hats, Status, Style, and Glamour. But this one might take a little bit longer because I also am not completely convinced I want to do this with it because, first of all, the pages are aqua colored and I'm like, I can use that. I feel like I would end up just as I'm tearing it apart, I'll end up just wanting to use all of it. So this is probably a good example of the kind of book that I wouldn't tear down. Like, that's why, you know, we have to tear down some books, because we don't have room for all of them that we get. But like, you don't have to do that with everything, right? Because sometimes certain books are just like, the whole thing is quite useful. So this one would just stay in my my library of like, that I keep here in my studio. I think I'll get rid of this plastic cover though. It's like really bleary-eyed. Although maybe I won't. Maybe I'll try to use that plastic, because that's a lot of plastic. So let's try to use that in another project perhaps. It's kind of interesting. So yeah, that is the video for now. Just a little video to just show you, kind of give you like a bit of an idea of, you know, breaking down a book, when we do and when we don't. Maybe we'll see how that compares to the way that you manage your stash for journal making. And I might just continue my morning by making a few things. I kind of really want to dig into making this. I feel like I've got myself a little inspired now with this. So that's it for me for now. And so I figured you might just want to see what I made with this book that I just deconstructed. So let's take a quick look. I actually made a lot of stuff. So with the two little images of glassware, I added a little bit of lace and just made a tiny little booklet for writing in. Then with this image of the lavender, I took a word snippet that says "Welcome to the Land of Flowers," and these little cutouts here from a Minte paper, and did some inking and stitching, and we have this cute journal card. And then this piece of this cabinet, if you recall, I couldn't help myself. I was doing some cutting out of these little Fern Hollow characters, and I thought how cute it would be to have this little fox look like he's, you know, jumping. He's been startled by something below, and his hat flies off onto the table here. So that's a fun little journal card. And then the image that had the clovers and the stitched on clovers on a linen tablecloth, I added this Glenn Lotes bird and some netting and a Henry David Thoreau quote. "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to confront only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I come to die, discover I had not lived." And then this journal card, it had all of these sticks on it. So I added this lovely, she's actually from this Goblins book that I have. She's like a muse. And then I added this Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, "The creation of 1,000 forests is in one acorn." And this I thought would be a cute little pocket. It has all this white pottery here. And this quote, "Youth is happy because it has the ability to see beauty. Anyone who keeps the ability to see beauty never grows old." And then this very fall feeling kind of harvesty photo. I liked these green paper scraps I had in my scrap bin with the gold of the pears and these plums in this sort of plum color. So I thought that would be a nice pocket. For both of these, if you'll recall, there was this beautiful plant page and then the one that had sort of like sticks and wood in the background. So I added a couple bunnies from a Fern Hollow book. This one is kind of a witchy bunny with some fireworks behind her. This one's a more domestic bunny, and I added some purple book spine up top. And this verse here, "There is in every true woman's heart a spark of heavenly fire which lies dormant in the broad daylight of prosperity, but which kindles up and beams and blazes in the dark hours of adversity." And then another of those plants, those purpley plants, I added this fussy cut of hem. I just love him. It's from a vintage book. And then the one with the purple weaving, I added some viscose fabric up top and made this tag. Bit of collaging with botanicals. The focal point is this little girl holding onto her toy elephant. And this tag had the sticks in the background again, so I added some blue lace for a tab, this beautiful bird with some pine, some book spine. It says "The Song of a Bird," and some bits of avocado dyed paper and gold paper behind. This little pocket started out as this image of this gate, so I added this bird from a vintage book, and this is a label from my Journal Together kit. This one, it had the wood in the background. I did some collaging. I'd also saved 3 little snippets of like wood cabinetry details. So I added one here, added the birds and other bits. This wooden tag is from my Journal Together kit, and then an avocado dyed lace up top. And then this little tag had more of the sticks and wood in the background. I added some book spine, 3 pieces from my Journal Together kit, and this ribbed lace up top. And then these are very simple journal cards. There's 4 of them. So these were all images that had some kind of wood in the background. So this one, I used one of the tabs with the crackle that I had punched out, added some stitching, and added a quote here on top of some book spine. And we have, these are cut out from a vintage book about like old actors. And so this quote says, "There's not an hour of day or dreaming nights, but I am with thee. There's not a wind but whispers of thy name, and not a flower that sleeps beneath the moon, but in its hues or fragrance tells a tale of thee." And then this one uses some Tim Holtz little people. And then this is some, tattered book spine. So when you pull all the pages out of a book, you get this fun layering. You'll see that it's happening here with my current glue book. I'm getting all these fun layered pages as I tear and tear. It creates all these layers. And it sort of reminds me of like turkey tail mushrooms, like the fungi that grows on old stumps. So then I added this little poem. "So do the winds and thunder cleanse the air. So working bees settle and purge the wine. So lopped and pruned trees do flourish fair. So doth the fire the drossy gold refine." And then this one, another Tim Holtz character, and she's just resting her arm on the stick there. And I've done some stitching and added book spine and another poem. "Ye flowers that droop, forsaken by the spring, ye birds that, left by summer, cease to sing, ye trees that fade when autumn heats remove, say, is not absence death to those who love." And the last one, we have some more wintry characters here from Tim Holtz and a little mushroom from my kit, book spine and some stitching. "Let us then be up and doing with a heart for every fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait." And then if you recall this fun cabinet here that had this glassware in it, well, I turned it into like a tag. So I backed it all with packaging paper. I had cut both the doors off completely so I could back them as well, and then reattach them, hinging them and stitching around them. So now we have writing space in here and on the back, and both of the doors swing closed. And then we had this beautiful flowery piece of paper. So I turned it into a pocket, added some lace, some book spine, and one of my whimsy labels from my Journal Together kit, and it's a little pocket. It could just be floating because both sides are lovely. And then this little journal card that had this plant on it, I added some die cuts, some book spine. This says "Wonderful Place," and just did a little collage in the corner. And then last, we have this big tag. I used some black paper from my scraps and put packaging paper on the back. Then I added the Lily of the Valley label from my kit, and the original piece from the book is this old gate. So I sprayed the whole thing with some distress spray from Tim Holtz, from Ranger, and it was in the color Pine Needles. Then I added some luster wax in Lilac Rainbow, and it just gave it a very iridescent, fun feel. And then I added some word snippets to make a verse. "Gather the twigs through the dark clouds, through the village, learned to talk to trees." And then added some avocado dyed lace up top with a little bit of ivy. And on the back is the packaging paper that I used, and just kind of sprayed it with more of the Pine Needle spray. So that's a lot of stuff to make from a book that otherwise didn't seem that useful. I didn't think I would really use it for much. So, tearing it up like that, getting it out of the way actually is wonderful. And now I have a lot of ephemera. So I can do a quick count on how much I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 pieces. So yeah, I recommend you do the same. If you have a lot of books, if you feel like, you know, you've got a book on something like home design or gardening, and it's just a really big book and you don't think you'd use it for pages in a journal and it's hanging about, I suggest you just take some time for yourself like I did and just make ephemera. Just break that book down like I showed you, you know. Don't be like too worried about using every part of it, and you'll find that like there's beauty in the limitation of having just those pieces. You'll get creative. You'll look around and see what you have. You'll use your scraps. I recommend, you know, gather some things that you enjoy using and that are useful in decorating ephemera, such as books with like quotes or poems or good words for word snippets, or if you cut words out like I do on the fly, I suggest having that bin near you so you can pull from it. You know, keep a few laces around, maybe some stamps, some sprays, or little watercolor paints, washi tapes, things like die cuts. I tend to keep a basket of random focal points like this. I just keep kind of refilling it and throwing bits and bobs in it. I also have like some bags that I keep in a basket organized, like one has butterflies, one has flowers, one has insects. And from time to time, I'll pull a few out of each bag and throw it into that basket. If you have Tim Holtz people or cutout people from books, or on Etsy, you can find so many great creators who make paper dolls. Have those around because they'll give you like a nice instant focal point. So it'll make your, you know, you're creating, especially if you're like really trying to get some ephemera done for a project that's, you know, eclectic. You don't necessarily need a theme. I recommend, you know, just kind of gather your things and have a little bit of you time and make. So that is it from me for today, and thank you so much for hanging out, and I hope you enjoyed seeing all the stuff that I made, and we'll talk again very soon. Don't forget to use your books. Bye for now.